Hello everybody and welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. My name's Suj.
And my name is James.
It's Clash of the Correspondents, James. These Clash of the Correspondents somehow are going to come super thick and fast with the game weeks being midweek, weekend, midweek,
Are they?
weekend.
Well, I'll tell you, I can tell you, unfortunately, now we're probably not doing one next week.
No, we're not, you're right. But I think with the amount of games that there are and obviously people wanting ITK knowledge.
He's so dependent and difficult on the fixtures. I'm looking at. I've been looking at the schedule the week after. I don't know where there's a sensible time to fit one in for the guys, but we'll find a way if we can, no doubt.
Do what you do. Introduce today's, please.
I shall. Firstly, let me start with my good friend and fellow Spurs brethren, Ricky Saunders 77. How are you, Ricky?
Really good, thanks, mate. Really good. Yourself?
Yeah, a bit apprehensive about Friday, but we'll come on to that.
Yeah, you and me both, mate.
We're joined by Gary. Is my cap playing? Our Manchester United correspondent. How are you, Gal?
Yeah, good, thanks. How are you all?
Top stuff. Ready to rock and roll. James, I feel like you put Ricky on early just to get the Spurs C.O.T.C out of the way so that it was done and dusted so you didn't have to think about them anymore. But neither of you in conversation are very confident of anything, not even this Friday, but just in general.
I think everyone knows how I feel, so it's time for Ricky to have his go, isn't it? So, Ricky, how do we feel about Friday? And actually not just Friday, because we'll come back to more game specifics, but the rest of the season as a whole.
I feel moderately confident because we've got all of our players back, but they're still managed by the same geezer playing the same crap tactics. And you know, if it had been the end of the season, he'd have had the players in to work on something better than what we've been doing. But he hasn't, so we haven't, and it's not going to change, is it? It's going to be fit players not really knowing what they're doing.
He's had him in a local park every week, hasn't he?
that was just Sergio Aurier. That was him on his own.
And Tanguy. Davinson.
I'm fascinated. Now, when did Josie come in? Beginning of December? End of November? Beginning of December? Give or take?
Yeah, about that, yeah.
It feels like 6 years ago.
I'm interested in Gary's take. Gary, do you see anything in Spurs that has any resemblance to what you saw when he came in at United? Like, people didn't really like his style of football there. Is it Mark II? Here we go again.
It seems to be, doesn't it? You've got a set of players who are used to and their strengths lie in attacking football, really. I mean,
yeah.
You know, you've got Son, Kane, Ali. That's where the strength of that team lies. The strength of the United team, when he had it, was up front as well, really. But that's not what he's about, is he? Never has been, and he's not going to change now, is he?
Not a bad defence at Tottenham either.
The legs might have fallen away a bit, I think, Ricky, unfortunately. How do you feel about that in terms of the guys defensively, like Vertonghen and Alderweireld? Because particularly for Vertonghen, I don't know what's happened since last summer. He's come back, unfortunately, like a different player. We've had news rumoured today. We're recording on Monday night. We've heard rumoured news today that Japhet Tanganga might have a stress fracture of the back. Which I think is probably similar to what Rashford had, maybe, Gary.
I think it is exactly what he had, yeah.
Go on, Ricky, sorry.
No, so I hadn't heard that Tanganga has had that, but I've got some notes as well. And what I did notice that in all of the pictures that have been released by the club, he wasn't seen at the friendly matches or the in-house training. He wasn't there at all. So I suspected there was something wrong with him, and so that does make some sense. Going back to what you said about the defence, I kind of think in a way, actually, Jose's been a little bit unfortunate. If he'd have had Jan and Toby 2 or 3 years ago, he might have made them into a proper defensive rock. I think he's inherited a couple of centre-backs who, to be fair, are just past their best and they need replacing. And that's not his fault. They're slow now. They're not up to the speed of where they need to be for that level. So I think he's been a little bit unfortunate with that.
Surely if you've got a centre-back who has lost pace, What's the strategy? Move him to fullback because he's moved Vertonghen to left-sided centre half or left back, and surely you need more pace as a fullback.
The bizarre thing for me, if I can just jump in, Ricky, the bizarre thing for me is that obviously under Pochettino he wanted to play like a higher pressing line on that, and obviously the legs are going a bit, and we're starting to struggle with that. Whereas you would think under Mourinho, okay, well, I don't need to play with a high line or anything, but I'll get you playing as a solid unit defensively as a back four, and nothing's any different. Go on, Ricky. Sorry.
I was going to say, Jose traditionally hasn't played with attacking fullbacks. Even when he was at Chelsea, Ashley Cole was banished from going above the halfway line. So, in that kind of role, that would probably suit Vertonghen. He is a good left back, and he's got a good range of pass on him, and he can pick out a player. But don't expect him to be flying down the wing and putting crosses in, because that's not what he's about anymore. Well,
his first choice, Ricky.
Left back.
Oh, go hold back for.
Unfortunately, it's got to be Aurier on one side. I think Ben Davies on the other side. And at the minute, I would go with Toby and Sanchez. Jan is a great backup, but he just hasn't got the legs. I love the guy, brilliant guy, but he hasn't got the legs.
Yeah, it's awful seeing him at left back as well. It's not. I know he's occasionally filled in very well there, but it's not great seeing him there now. Mind you, it's not great seeing anyone having to play left back in the style that they're having to play to cut into centre half, because they're not allowed to go forward. But on the other side, obviously in many of the games, we have seen Aurier bomb onto this right wing position, which I think is a partial attempt to keep him as far away from our own goal as possible.
That's probably a good strategy, actually.
He's 4.9 million, and every now and then, Ricky, I do get people ask about him. You don't feel any different now?
No, do you know what? I actually had him. I can't remember which game it was, but he scored a goal, and then I think it was VAR'd out. It might have been Leicester. I think it was a Leicester game, actually, and I had him in my team, and I had him for a few weeks, and he didn't do too bad, but he's just a calamity. If I'm gonna sign a defender who I am getting ostensibly for attacking returns, it's not going to be Aurier, because he's always going to concede a goal. All you're buying really is you're buying the potential of an assist every 7-8 games.
Can I give you an opinion? And it's
Please
probably
do.
be quite an unpopular one, which will very much sum up our season. I think Suj Aurier has been one of our better players this season.
Wow, that's a statement, James.
And I wouldn't put him at more than about 6 out of 10.
To be fair, he hasn't had much competition for Player of the Season.
That's getting scrapped this year, mate. There ain't no Player of the Year this year. Who would be yours at your place, Gary? Just out of interest.
What, United's Player of the Season?
Yeah.
I've forgotten.
Bruno Fernandes, isn't it, according to the paper?
Well, considering he's only been in for half a season.
He should be Player of the Year outright, really. I think he's, those 5 games. No, I'd say McTominay or Rashford, I think, over the course of the season.
McTominay definitely for how he's developed, but Rashford maybe for the goals. Bruno Fernandes picking up Player of the Year. It'll be like Biscan's man of the match the other day, James, and very few of our listeners will get that, but some will. Robbery. Are you confident, Gary, on Friday night?
I would have been if it had been from the momentum before the lockdown started, but now we don't know what we're walking into. Do I mean? I would think we'd have a good performance, but you got no way of knowing where we are now. But Spurs have probably done well in terms of getting Son, Kane, etc. back. So yeah, I wouldn't be unconfident, but I'm not as confident as I would have been 3 months ago.
You've got Pogba back now, haven't you? So that should make a big difference.
I don't think Pogba's starting on Friday, so I don't think that'll.
That's the rumour,
impact, I don't think that'll impact Friday.
Have you heard anything on that, Gary? Because I've heard that rumour too, that he's possibly out Friday night.
Just seen that they've been training a first 11 without Pogba in it, and he's been told he needs to force his way back into that team, which seems Yeah, which I could half understand that if he'd come back, 3 days after we'd just beaten Man City, but given we're 3 months away from that, it seems a bit as if it's done for effect. But because I can't think of a team. Even when they're all fit, I can't think of a team where he's not in the best 11. So
talk about babyface assassin. That's Stone Cold Killer there.
Do you think, though, Gary, one of the things I've mentioned is that I think you'll possibly play different systems against us and against Sheffield United. Do you think there might be any relation to that in the sense that suddenly forcing Pogba back in with Fernandes, Martial, Rashford, does he want to play Daniel James if he wants to play counter-attack? It's one too many, isn't it?
Yeah, I think if Pogba comes in, it's where if he puts him in the midfield three, where does Fernandes play? And if he pushes Fernandes into the front three, you probably lose Fernandes's impact. So it is where he fits in, and probably Spurs away as we're calling it, isn't probably the game to test that theory. But I can't think of a United team where Pogba's not in the best 11. So it seems a shame if he's doing that, but we'll see.
Do you think it's a back four or a back five Friday?
I assume a back four, because then a back five, I think you'd lose the chance to play James and Rashford and Martial. A back five with them three, you'd only have two midfield spots left then. And I think, like you've just been saying about your fullbacks, if we don't send Dan James and Rashford and Martial onto the other side of your fullbacks, I think that's the way to go. I don't see 5-2-3 working.
The reason I thought I'd mentioned that I didn't think Daniel James would play, but that was under my thinking that Pogba would, and I actually thought you might go with a diamond. Might be the best way to kind of fit them in and play Martial and Rashford very much as how they played at Wembley last January.
Yeah.
And I thought that might be the best immediate way to get out of it. But it's also interesting thinking beyond the game Friday night to the game against Sheffield United as well, because we very much know how they'll set up in terms of wing backs, etc. Am I right in saying you went to a back five at Bramall Lane, didn't you? And it really didn't work for long spells, and you had a great 10-15 minutes, got back out.
Yeah, he played well, yeah.
Will he, the fact that it's not now in front of a crowd at Old Trafford, do you think he'll pick a team for that game to match up against them?
I wouldn't have thought so. I would have thought that would be the game to try and get Pogba, Fernandes, a holding midfielder, and then three up front. That would be the way to go then. Because if you're not going to do it then, then we're going to be on, there's only 6 games left after that, or 7 games left. I think, we can't afford to be drawing these matches. Now, it didn't work last time, and I don't. Defensively, we're playing well at the minute. We've kept 12 clean sheets in our last 17. We're not struggling defensively at the minute, so I wouldn't see the need to go to a back five. At the cost of which forward do you drop then?
See, that defensive record's great, mate, and it's not getting mentioned much. And I want to ask you about Maguire as well, because I feel like you've not been, to say not supportive would be completely incorrect, but you've not been his biggest fan, should we say? But I feel like he's had a good season.
I'll stick up for Gary there. He did in his article. Let's plug his article. You did say of the 3 United ones to watch, Maguire at 5.3 is the one defensive one to go for. Yeah,
I think him and the rest of the team have improved since around the turn of the year. Him and Lindelof didn't have a great start. They didn't have a bad start either. I think with Maguire, it was just it wasn't unhappy. It was just underwhelming. Didn't seem to have that impact that Van Dijk had. Say, and I know he's not as good a player as Van Dijk, but you spend the money and you want that impact a bit quicker. But since Christmas especially, he's been good. And Maguire, I was looking before I wrote the article. He these last 5 matches before the lockdown, 33 points in fantasy. If he carries anything like that to the end of the season, he's a bargain at 5.3. Especially with our fixtures. If we get Friday out of the way, there's nothing in that fixture list that looks, on paper, that looks difficult apart from the last day of the season, really.
I think there's a certain type of FPL manager which both teams will really appeal to, and it's the guys with no wild card. That's where I think United and Tottenham really come into the conversation, is for those guys. I think United do for all the managers, but I think Spurs, people like Son, for example, which we can come on to in a bit, Ricky, probably maybe do appeal to people who are not in a position to go changing several aspects of their team over and over and get out of jail with free hits or wild cards, etc. Is there any case, therefore, particularly Gary, with people like Maguire, for those, I don't know, who are using the unlimited now and a bench boost, for example, to go straight in now on Maguire?
I think it depends what you're doing the week after. I mean, I haven't, as it stands in my team for this week, I haven't got any United players in. There's too many other good fixtures to have United players in away at Spurs. But if you're not wild carding straight out of it, or you're not free hitting in 31, and you are just setting up for the longer term, I think you can go straight to United, because you could even bench, Maguire at 5.3. You can bench someone at 5.3 for 1 week, because you're going to get 7-8 matches at the end of the season that you probably start him every week, and maybe until the Leicester game. But the games in the middle, you'd be playing him every week. So I think if you're not wild carding in 31 and you're not free hitting in 31, I think you could just go straight to Maguire. But if you're going to wild card out of it, I'd leave it for this week.
I wonder if there's people who haven't got any chips left, bar perhaps a bench boost, who would seriously consider going with free United this week and go in, say, Maguire, Fernandes, Rashford or Martial, for example, and actually saying, do you know what, that's going to be the make-up my bench boost this week. Because I think we're almost in a position, Gary, with Spurs' form for the last, let's be honest, 15 months or so. The whole home thing is off the table, really. It's Spurs against Manchester United. You might as well say it's at a neutral venue at the moment. So, I mean, if you could put that together as a bench boost, I know it's quite expensive for single game week players, but I think Manchester United are one, for those without the wild card on that, seriously need looking at.
James,
yes, mate.
I know somebody who had at the end of game week 29, Maguire and Fernandes and Rashford in their team.
Is that you?
Ricky Saunders.
Ricky, what are you doing with them United players, mate?
You've got. I'm looking at your squad there in front of me. You've got all three of them.
I've got all three of them. Yeah, I was actually still making transfers in lockdown, and I've got a cracking side, but I'm actually going to dismantle it and use unlimited transfers this week. They're going. I'm in a position, because I was making the transfers in lockdown. Virtually all the players that I want to bring back in on my wild card, I've got no value in. So I can get rid of Maguire and Rashford and Fernandes, and I can hopefully buy them back in for very little rise when I play my wild card in 33, which is the plan. From what you're saying, though, if I didn't have a wild card or didn't have a free hit, I would probably keep them. I'd get them, or I've got them, so I'd keep them. Maybe ship out one, but they're look, the way that we defend, I don't think having any United attacker is that bad of an idea. And we haven't been scoring that many goals either, so even Harry Maguire's not a bad shout. But as Gary said, get the Tottenham fixture out of the way, which I'm going to big up as a really difficult fixture for United. But after that, there really isn't anybody you can't see them scoring, at least 1 or 2 goals against.
You think you finished top 4, Gary?
No.
Really?
No.
Why do you think that?
I think the top 3 is set. I don't think none of them are dropping out.
Agreed.
And then, Chelsea's fixtures are probably as good as ours, or they're not that far behind. We're not playing Chelsea, so we haven't got a game where we can directly impact them and catch up with them. So I think we'll just miss out. But I mean, 5th might be enough anyway. So, but no, I think we'll just fall short.
What do you think's your toughest game left on paper then?
Well, I mean, on paper it's the Leicester away game, the last day of the season. But I mean, if they could already be done by then. But I mean, Sheffield United at home, at Old Trafford. If they're coming through, I mean, they should have beaten us in the first game. They were 2-0 up and cruising, and we had that mad 15 minutes and got a point in the end. But other than that, I mean, in the middle of that, I think we play all of the bottom 3. Or maybe we don't play Norwich, but we play Villa, West Ham, I think, sorry, it's Sheffield United probably, or Leicester.
See, you're saying that, and Leicester, Sheffield United, some might even be screaming at the audio now, it's Spurs in this game week. I would agree, it's those 2 first at the moment. But then Chelsea have still got to play Liverpool, Man City and Wolves.
Yeah, true.
So I think you can catch them, mate.
But it depends. It depends when they play. When are they playing them? And if Liverpool are done by then, when do they play Liverpool? Towards the end,
game week 37. Yeah, but listen, if you'd take that now, wouldn't you? If you were 2 points behind Chelsea going into game week 37, wouldn't you? And they've got Liverpool and Wolves, they'd shit themselves, mate.
Do they end with Wolves as well?
Yeah, that's their last two.
Oh,
and they've got Sheffield United in game week 35 as well, Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, if they're only 2 points ahead of us by 37, then yeah, you would favour us because I can't think what our home game in 37 is. Is it Southampton or can't remember which one?
You're testing me now, mate. I'm not sure, but I'll find out for you.
West Ham.
Thank you, Ricky.
Yeah. Well, right then. So,
3 points, isn't it?
More than likely. Which week are we talking? 37?
Yeah.
Oh, we'll be safe by then. So yeah, we'll roll over nicely for you.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I'm not sure, mate.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
We'll see.
Yeah. No, I think we can catch Chelsea. I just, I'm just not sure we will. A lot will depend on the cups as well. If we stay in the FA Cup and the fixtures get congested towards the end and keep playing Saturday, Wednesday or whatever.
That's the same for Chelsea and Sheffield United as well, though, isn't it? So,
well, Chelsea are out the FA Cup, aren't they? So
Leicester. They've got in a quarter final, haven't they?
They will be out the FA Cup then.
Yeah, quite possibly. I don't know, mate. I don't know. I think that's quite tough to call, actually.
Yeah. There's quite a few horses in this race, isn't there, for this fourth spot? I think it's going to be. It's going to be quite interesting. I think it'll be good to watch and some good teams in there as well.
I think the thing that'll make it even more interesting is if we get the CAS ruling on City before the end of the season, because as it stands now, fifth is enough for the Champions League until they get that ruling overturned. Then fifth's enough anyway.
I think you got to think fourth, though, haven't you?
I think so, yeah, because I think
you can't go with that mentality. You have to think it's got to be fourth.
Yeah, well, we should be finishing fifth anyway with the team we've got and the money we've spent and all that kind of thing. So yeah, we need to get as high up as we can anyway. But yeah, I have a feeling fifth will be enough. I think City's ban will probably be reduced to a year, and then fifth will be enough anyway. So, and but then the thing is, if it is just fifth, then that opens it up for a lot. Then Wolves and Sheffield United will probably think they've got a chance, and Arsenal and Spurs maybe.
So
if
Ricky,
they get off to a good start.
If we win Friday, we go 1 point behind the team that is in fifth at the moment. And if Gary's saying he thinks fifth might be enough, then it's on, isn't it? And
don't you play Sheffield United early on as well in this restart?
Yeah, game week 32.
Yeah. If we win, is it on? Well, yeah, of course it's on if we win. It's so hard because you look at, say on paper, right? Some of the fixtures look decent, but the way we play, there's going to be teams that we're playing that are better footballing teams than us, or they battle more than us, and I can't honestly say that we would win any of those games.
Brilliant, Ricky. Thanks. You are just what I need in my life, my friend. Honestly.
But you know what, James? Well, we've got 9 games. We're going to win every single one of them, and forget top 4, man. We're chasing for the title.
Are we?
Well, maybe second place.
Win them all. we're only 16 points behind Man City. I tell you what, if you'd have offered me that at the start, I might have taken it. Actually, mate.
If you'd have said that at the start of the season, I would have assumed we'd be 3rd or 4th at best. At worst.
Agreed. Yeah, absolutely.
I think a lot of people who predicted the table, I think our correspondents every year send us in what they think the table will finish at, you guys, and Spurs were a top 4 for most of the correspondents. But I feel like we're rubbing salt in wounds here. Maybe we should just not even talk about it.
I'm sure you'll have the form I sent in somewhere, but I'm pretty sure I predicted 3rd. Which, Ricky, in hindsight, is not great. It's not great.
Every correspondent, bar one, predicted Tottenham to finish 3rd at the start of this season.
Okay, at least I'm not the odd one out.
Every single one, bar one. It was probably Gary predicted 6th, actually. But that's part. Listen, I'm like you, Ricky. I don't think it's on at all. Even 5th, I don't see it. But if I was an outsider looking in and you didn't support the same team as me, I would have asked you that exact question to say, well, actually, surely if we win Friday, then it's possible, isn't it?
Well, it is. Yeah, if we're a point behind, it is possible because our games aren't terrible. You know, United's games are a lot better than ours, and Chelsea's probably are too, with a couple of exceptions.
Yeah, agreed.
But our games they're not awful. They're not by any stretch.
If you get off to a good start as well, I mean, if you do beat United, then you've got West Ham at home, haven't you? And then you're playing Sheffield United. I mean, if you do get off to a good start against us, then you beat West Ham and then roll into Sheffield United and beat them, then all of a sudden you've not only got 9 points, but you've beaten two of your rivals then. I mean, obviously that's 3 weeks down the road, but it's not impossible.
It's not. And after that, we've got Everton, got Bournemouth, we'll have Newcastle after. We'll be playing teams that don't have anything to play for.
Yeah.
So there's teams there that we might find are on the beach, and if we've got something to play for, that can make all the difference.
Gary, if we win all 3 of them games, I'll send you a big thank you card, mate. I'm telling you, I can't see it, mate.
No,
can't see it.
I think
I'm not saying we can't beat you Friday or we can't beat Sheffield United or beat West Ham on given nights. Yeah. But I can't see this team at the moment having consistency. And that's the big thing in this whole race. Look at Man City's points. 57 points from 28 games. That will normally have you fourth.
Yeah.
It's not form of anything. Everybody else this year has been shit. And the key word is consistency. And I can't see where Spurs can put it together. Now, all you have to do, in my opinion, to finish top 4 is be consistent. Because you've got the best run of fixtures.
Yeah. No, I'm not sure Spurs will do it. But I'm saying that the advantage of your fixture list is that you're playing teams, you know, you can directly impact teams, can't you? If you beat us and you beat Sheffield United, that's 2 6 points. Yeah, there's 2 6-pointers there.
Well, Ricky's got some chance of a top 4 in something because he's sitting pretty fourth in the Correspondence League right now with a decent rank of 43k at the moment. So you're going to finish top 4 in something, I reckon, Ricky.
Small consolation, but yeah, thanks, Suj.
Ricky, talk to us about Son, Kane. We don't need to speak about Spurs assets any more than this, do we?
You know what? There's one. It's up there with your Aurier pick. In all honesty,
he ain't a pick. Be careful.
just keep an eye on Lamela. Jose loves him. And he's played in the couple of the in-house friendlies or in-house matches we had, and he played against Norwich and he scored a couple of really fantastic goals, and he's looking sharp. So just keep a little eye on him. He might prove to be a bit of an option later down the line. I wouldn't suggest that anybody starts with him. Let's see how we line up and how the games go, but just keep an eye on Lamela. Right, Son and Kane. I'm not going to start with either of them. I will be getting, provided how the fixtures go, Son is very much in my thinking for my wild card. Probably even my free hit, which I'll play in 30 or 31 or 32. But Son, definitely. Kane, he at the minute is probably going to be my replacement for a banger.
That guy.
Yeah, him. I almost want to call him Adebayor for some reason. He'll be my replacement for him possibly if he's doing all right, but I just want to see how he settles back in. He can be quite a slow starter after an injury. That's probably normally because he's rushed back after an injury. At least this time he's been given loads of time to recover, and that should really help him. But Son, he looks sharp, he looks fit. He looks bang on it, and the way I think we're going to set up will really free up Son to possibly score a lot of points. Score
Ricky,
a few goals.
On Kane, I get battered a lot. He's finished. Yada yada yada.
It's not finished.
Yeah, listen. You and I know that. Do you think that you kind of highlighted it there? The fact that this time he's coming back. Essentially, he's not coming back from injury, is he? It's pre-season. No. Yeah. Like it is for everybody else, because he was fit to play football 2 months ago. It's not like, suddenly, you know, if we'd have got to early April, we'd have been playing in early April.
Yeah.
So it was very close before lockdown anyway. He'd actually started training before everyone went into lockdown. So actually, he's just had a pre-season like anybody else. Forget the injury. So is he, knowing what he can be like in terms of his mindset, etc., he's got a chance of being ahead of everyone, isn't he?
He has, but the man can't score goals in August, and this is essentially August now, isn't it, if you think about it like that. But no... I
can think of an August goal at Old Trafford, by the way. I'm sure Gary can as well.
He did break that one last year, didn't he? Yeah. No, you're right in saying that. And the work he did over the summer, I mean, he started this season so fit and looking so ready, and it just hasn't worked out for him. But in terms of fitness, I think he is going to be possibly ahead of people. But he's going to be in the same situation as everybody else, where we've had no real training drills. Obviously, I don't know what Jose's done behind the scenes with regards to team structure, and has he been talking to the lads, and have we, sorted out a way to play? He's going to have, I think, one player beside him or playing just behind him he's never played with before, so that may make a difference as well. It looks like Ndombele has been playing slightly higher up the pitch, more of an advanced central midfielder. Kane really hasn't had that either, so it might take him a little while to adjust to some different players around him. But mentally and physically, yeah, I think he's ready.
You mentioned how you think that the front four will start, back four, sorry, Ricky. What do you think about the rest of the team? How do we fix this midfield problem, and who do you expect to start on Friday?
I think it's going to be Winks and Sissoko. I think Sissoko's got to play, even if just for his work rate and his attitude. I think if we do play Sissoko, that's going to give Ndombele more of a license to get further up the field. And in the training games he has been playing more advanced. So I think he'll fill in where Lo Celso would normally be, because like Tanganga, Lo Celso hasn't been seen in any match footage. There's been some pictures, but he's been training on his own. So that would suggest that there is some kind of injury. So, yeah, I think Winks, Sissoko, and Ndombele, and in front of him, Bergwijn on one side, Son the other, and then Kane down the middle.
Oh, so much for your fucking Lamella tip.
I said later on, mate. Well, that's the problem. At the minute we haven't got Lo Celso, where we assume he's injured. We haven't got Ali. You still got to get Lamella in there. You still got to get Lucas in there. You've got 5, 6, 7 players trying to play for 2 spots, really. And I think there's going to be, especially with how quickly the games are coming, there's going to be a lot of rotation and everyone's going to get a chance. But that, for me, is my best, minus Lo Celso, that's our best starting 11 and preferred positions.
I don't particularly disagree with that, actually. I think that there's a chance, by the way, that Son may well play on the right against United, just to stay away from Wan-Bissaka, as I part mentioned on the pod yesterday. I think starting lineup, you're probably right. I'm not sure if Ndombele will start. It's a big game. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. If he's fit and he can be the player that you and I know technically he can be, then yeah, great. But I don't know if it's going to be there or not. Just as a side note, I moan about the quality that we have, but actually when you list all the attacking options there, one of the things I think this substitution rule, it might really benefit Tottenham. I mean, it'd be right up the top of the list in terms of you might see of substitute scoring, for example. Because, I mean, suddenly if you're in a position you can bring on the likes of Lucas, Lamella to freshen things up. And then once Lo Celso's back as well, that's another one. You can make 3 really attacking changes depending on however he decides to start and chop and change things in the first instance.
I totally agree. One of the things I think is going to be a real big advantage is going to be pace. There'll be a lot of defenders out there and midfielders as well who aren't anywhere near up to match speed. And if you can bring on someone with some legs towards the end of the game, someone like Lucas, he can terrorise defence with his pace if he's brought on 65, 70 minutes. So that's the substitutions are going to be they're going to be changing games an awful lot, and that's where Lamella's going to come in and do the bizzo for us.
I think Lamella might, if he's fit, I think he'll start on Friday and not on Ndombele, and I think Lamella will play central. It wouldn't even surprise me if Kane played a little bit deeper and Son played ahead of him, with Bergwijn left and Lamella right. I think there's a few different things he can do. I think Lucas is a really important point, because a lot of people in my ear asking me about Lucas. His best role, unfortunately, is as an impact sub, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's the way I see it staying for him now if players stay fit.
Well, me and Suj were talking briefly before we started, and he said about Lucas, he's going to be coming from the bench. Unfortunately, he's possibly too good to be sat on a bench, but that's his position for us. It's being there when we need him to come on and make a difference, and he will, especially the next few games, because defenders are going to be lacking match fitness, and he can come on and make a big difference. But I don't see him starting many games, and I wouldn't be your lineup. I wouldn't be against that. I think Son playing ahead of Kane, his pace can cause a lot of problems as well. So yeah. I wouldn't be too unhappy if that's the way it worked out.
I don't know. The honest answer is I don't know. I suspect it'd be exactly what you said, but probably Lamela instead of Ndombele. That's my instinct. And then it's a very much 4-2-3-1. The one thing I certainly agree with you is Sissoko has to play.
Yeah,
has to play. He's the only one who can do the defensive coverage from midfield positions. Predict your lineup then, Gary, for Friday night.
Well, De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, Shaw, Matic, Fred, Fernandes, James, Martial, Rashford.
Sounds like 4-2-3-1 v 4-2-3-1 to me.
No room for McTominay.
No, I mean, I think Fred's performances this season have improved a lot. But I mean, I think McTominay, Matic, and Fred. It's probably two of them three, isn't it? Or possibly one of them three when Pogba's back. But yeah, I think probably Fred and Matic probably just got the nod as it stands.
Matic done really well the last few months for lockdown, didn't he?
Yeah, he's a good player. He's he's good on the ball. He's which that's probably why you'll get I should get the nod over McTominay and Fred season long, because he's just better on the ball than the rest of that midfield or the defensive midfielders. Yeah, he's a good player.
How do you see it evolving once you get Pogba back in there? Like, is Matic then the odd one out and Fred sits deeper? Because I feel like one of Fred's real strengths has been the energy in his game, right?
Yeah.
I don't think you necessarily want him sitting there as a stationary holding midfield player, which I think if it's going to be Pogba and Fernandes, almost like central midfielders, then the other one's got to be very stationary. And I don't think that really suits Fred.
No, I don't. I think there's some decisions to be had there, because like I say, I mean, one of the cop-out for Solskjaer might be to put Fernandes further into the front three and drop Dan James, who's probably an easier player to drop, and then you can play Pogba, Matic and Fred, or McTominay, you know. But yeah, I mean, I think I'd prefer McTominay, Pogba. It's Matic. You need Matic in for his ball playing. I don't know is the honest answer. I mean, we've not had the chance all season to see all of them together, obviously, for various different reasons. I think there's some serious decisions to be had there, and if you don't play James and you don't play Pogba, especially Pogba, that's a lot of pace taken out of the team, and a lot of ability to be direct, which is Solskjaer's go-to tactic. So yeah, I don't know how he's going to fit them all in, really, but it's a good problem to have with all the games we've got left. But it's one of them where you wonder if he does know his best team.
Well, I think for me and Ricky, we haven't got a clue.
Yeah.
In terms of what Mourinho's favourite, we could all pick our favourite team, but in terms of what Mourinho's going to favour at the moment, it's fair to say this is the first time he's been in this position. We haven't even spoke tonight about Dele Alli, who's obviously suspended for Friday, but then the following you've got him to come back as well, and then suddenly you're going, so right, you might leave out Ndombele, Lamela, Lo Celso this week, and Lucas, and then he's got Ali to come back the next week. And then suddenly I'm going, yeah, do you know what, Ricky? We have got a squad, actually.
We've got a manager.
Just need a manager.
Yeah.
But then I think Gary's nailed it on the head as well in terms of like not utilising the strengths at United. There's a massive problem defensively at the moment. But actually, if you can get the forward players doing what they're good at, we've all enjoyed Tottenham when Tottenham have been at their best over the last 5 years or so, right?
Go back to the days of Ozzy.
And we ain't going back that far, mate. But I'm not saying we should go, 4-4-1-5, Ricky. No, I'm not saying that. But I think you can go back to an offensive 4-2-3-1 or even an offensive 4-1-4-1 or 4-3-3. There's numerous ways it can be done and be offensive. And put the pressure on the other side, because I don't believe that this team with the quality it's got right now should be playing counter-attacking football.
Let's look at some of the teams from the last 15 years that have scored a lot of goals and been attacking. Bar really Newcastle under Keegan. You look at Liverpool now, built on a defensive, stable rock. United, when you had Pallister and Bruce and Stam and Vidic, and you look at those guys. Even Spurs, when you were doing well, it's when Vertonghen and Alderweireld at their best. You almost need a solid back four to give the front players the license to go and do what they want to do. It was Keegan's Newcastle scored a lot of goals but let in a lot. But the others, you need that stable back four to give you that platform to go and be offensive.
Where I have sympathy is he can't find that stable back four at the moment.
No, yeah.
So
you don't have the players. You need to go and
play with the strengths that you've got.
Mm.
And that's not what he does, though, is it?
No, I know. I know. And to be fair, if he wants to play a counter-attacking style on Friday night, I don't have no problem with that at all, actually. Yeah. If he thinks it's going to be a bit... I really think the game Friday night could be 0-0 and awful, or it could be 4-3 and mental. I think it very much depends on the opening stages of the game. But I don't want him then to play against West Ham next week and then try and play counter-attacking football. I want him, if he's got all them players suddenly available, I want us to go and try and rip them apart. Now, if they expose us on the counter-attack and beat us, then I'll put my hands up and go, yeah, fair play. But I think you've got to play with the strengths that you've got.
Well, that's just not what he does, is it? I mean, he refused to do it. He just whinged for 2 years that he needed a centre-back. You know, he won't work with what he's not like Conte did at Chelsea, where he said, right, this is what I've been left with. Right, I'll just turn Victor Moses into a fullback. You know, he just won't or can't do it. And I don't think he'll change now. And he's not going to get any money out of Levy, is he, for a while? So
I think...
Go on, Ricky.
No, I was going to say something that I totally agree with what you're saying, Gary. But from what Jose said, he knew the deal when he came in. He wasn't going to get any money. So maybe that will force him into working with what he's got and not whining and bitching about it. That's just a theory on my part. But he did make all the right noises when he come in. So hopefully he knows what the score is.
Yeah. He always makes the right noises for the first 6 months.
Yeah. Well, no, he didn't even last that long, mate. I can assure you. Do you know what? I listen to him talk, and I really want to like him because he's wearing the badge and that, right? He's paining me. I just feel like I can see the lies right through you. I don't know. I suppose it's 15 years of not liking him, right? But that's how I feel. One of Mourinho's strengths, obviously, is when he's at his best. And yes, we kind of associate that normally with defensive, but we've seen even, I think, in the United performance at Arsenal, when De Gea made all them saves that night, the way you went and pressed Arsenal in those first 15 minutes, like, it can be done. But we do associate Mourinho teams as being a solid back four, right? Ricky, surely he's not going to rock up with another fucking back five, is he? He can't.
Well, he could do.
All them attacking players, he can't, can he?
As you got to play to your strengths, and with that amount of attacking threat, you've just got to get them on the pitch and let them do their thing. We're not going to keep many clean sheets. That's fine. So use all your attacking players to go and get a couple of goals. But it wouldn't surprise me if he does rock up. He's got 3 centre backs, 2 full backs that are pinned to the defensive half, and Winks and Sissoko. Yeah, or maybe he'll wheel out Dyer and play him alongside Sissoko.
I think Eric Dyer's nailed on to be our first sub, isn't he? James has just said all them attacking players you can bring on. He'll bring Eric Dyer on the first sub, won't he?
If we go 1-0 up early, about 10 minutes gone, probably. I mean, Dyer could get a suspension yet, couldn't he? I think.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that yet.
Neither. I don't know what's happening with it. No idea about that. It's something to be aware of.
Today's been a lot of rubbing salt in Spurs' bruises. They're not quite wounds yet, but just sore spots at the moment.
We can take it. I think me and Ricky, we're fighting there and going, do you know what? We have got some attacking players, but then...
And you do.
Let's go and attack. I mean, when you list all them players, I'm not saying they're the best players in the world, but I mean, even in terms of depth, people always scream, need another forward. I mean, if Kane was out and all the rest of them had stayed fit, you'd go, that's still not too bad.
Yeah.
And someone like that is obviously going to be irreplaceable.
It's the hope that kills you, James. I actually sometimes...
I know it, mate. Till about 20 past 8 and I'll be swearing on Friday night, mate.
Sometimes I actually yearn for the days when we were proper shit. I didn't expect anything, and I didn't get anything. And those days, they were comfortable days. I had no stress in them days. I had hair, and it wasn't grey in them days.
Winning was better, wasn't it?
Winning was amazing.
Because it didn't happen often.
What do you think the score is going to be, Ricky?
Do you know what, Suj? That's probably the hardest question you've asked me all day, because I really don't know. And it's not just because of how we play or the players will play, but I don't know, and we're not going to know until Wednesday just how this whole situation has affected the players and the way they play. 2-1 Tottenham. I honestly don't know, mate. I really don't know.
And Gary, you thinking it's going to be an away win?
No, I'll say 2 each.
2 each. I was going to go with a Desmond 2-2 as well. I reckon it's going to be 2-2. I think Jose is going to surprise us on Friday with a formation or a team that probably people didn't expect, because he does do that. He does odd things sometimes. But I think a 2-2, a high-scoring game is what I'm expecting. James, you thinking the same?
I think if there's an early goal, I think it could be carnage, actually. I think it could end up mad.
Yeah.
I think if the game starts slow, I wouldn't be surprised if it finished 0-0 or 1-0.
Yeah.
I don't think that we'll win.
Yeah, I don't see you guys winning, but I do see
if you ask me to pin myself to a correct score prediction, I would say 1-1.
By the way, I'm not taking any money to the bookies on my 2-1 prediction, because I don't actually think we'll win either.
Ricky, the bookie's shut.
Thank the Lord for that.
They're open tomorrow for Royal Ascot. They're back open tomorrow.
Oh, dear.
And we're not sponsored by any of them, so leave them be.
Not yet.
Yeah. Guys, thanks for joining us. I feel like we could just keep chatting. What I'm really, to be honest with you, I've got some more questions that I want to speak to you guys at the end of the season. I'm interested in what happens with the next 9 games, and we all, like we've talked about so often, don't know what's going to happen because of behind closed doors and all that kind of stuff. But United are going to be spending some money in the summer, and we had a question in our Patreon pods today about how long is it going to be before one of the clubs outside the top 2 catches up. So depending on what United do in the summer, I think they've got a good chance of within a couple of years making up ground and all of this kind of stuff. But it all feels a little bit premature just now to start having these conversations before the next 9 game weeks are kind of done and dusted. I feel like at least there was such a long period where we didn't even know we'd finish this season. Let's get this season finished so that we can all at least stop that kind of and put that to bed.
Yeah.
Cool. James, what do we have left this week? Or what's the schedule? Because it's game weeks on, game weeks off.
I have to try and remember, wouldn't I? Patrons, you've got another pod out today. Sky, tomorrow, we're going to get that out in the morning as early as we possibly can, basically, so you're ready for deadline. So you've got all Wednesday afternoon to tinker with FPL, Sky, whatever you like. I'll obviously be champ man in tonight as well. Thursday, we'll pod again, Suj. We'll look back on the Wednesday night action. Friday, I'll stream. Saturday, I'll stream. Next Monday, 10 podcasts. Let's do it.
There we go. All of the action coming thick and fast. So do make sure that wherever you're listening to the podcast, whether it's iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spotify, Acast, Overcast, Cast, whatever it is, that you subscribe, especially if it's on Spotify, because we want that Joe Rogan contract. If you're watching on YouTube, then make sure you hit subscribe and get the notification bell going as well. Come on, James, you can't laugh at that. 100 million, Joe Rogan. That's what we want.
Yeah, all right, sit down,
YouTube,
mate.
hit the notification bell and subscribe there as well, because we'd appreciate you. And you'll also know as soon as we go live with any live streams or any videos get published. Other than that, we're counting down the hours and minutes until the deadline. To go back and listen to the main pod yesterday if you haven't, and there'll be more content coming your way. Stay safe. Boys, thanks again for joining us. Lovely chat as always.
Cheers. Can I just advise, or not advise, just ask everyone to go and look at Marcus Rashford's tweets about his kids, the work he's doing for school kids and their meals today. Not get involved in the politics of it all on here. It's not the place. But just go and have a look at his tweets and retweet them and all the rest of it.
Spot on there, Gary. Just to add one thing as well, because footballers took a battering, right? And you and I stood up and went, give them a chance. Look at people like Rashford, Sterling, Kane. And do you know what? All part of the England team, right? And there's a team there we can be proud of.
100%. And obviously the way that football has got behind even with the numbers and the names this weekend and all of that kind of stuff. Honestly, Gary, talking about Rashford, felt like seeing what he was doing, I'll just buy him and leave him in my FPL team just out of respect for what he's doing. That's how strongly I feel for a guy who, how old is he now? To be able to be that eloquent,
incredible,
and to do it, and you see his interview. So 100%. If you haven't heard much about it, Marcus Rashford's fighting with the government to make sure that all kids get meals in schools and are fully funded and what have you. So do head over and find Marcus Rashford on Twitter. Good shout, Gary. Good for that. So there we go, guys.
Hope he fucking gets sent off Friday.
Guys, ciao for now.
Thanks, Cheers. Gary. Thanks, Ricky. Good luck Friday.
Bye, guys.
Come on, you Spurs. Cue music, man, Charles.
Come on, Tottenham.